Welcome back. Today we're diving into a source called The Voice of the Wise. It's this really cool collection of ancient stories with a pretty straightforward modern promise to help us find a little bit of meaning and inspiration. And yeah, maybe even to crack a smile or two along the way.
And let's be honest, who doesn't feel like that sometimes? If that question hits home for you, you are definitely not alone. It's a search we're all on. So in this explainer, we're going to explore a few timeless parables that give some surprisingly simple answers to life's biggest questions. Let's jump in.
Okay, so our first lesson is going to feel a little backward at first. I mean, we're all taught to grab onto the things we love and hold on tight, right? But what if that's the very thing that's getting in our way?
So picture this guy, a traveler. He's been everywhere, tried everything to find happiness, chasing wealth, seeking out adventure, and he's just worn out. Nothing's worked. So he finally tracks down this wise monk, basically begging for the secret. And the monk doesn't give him some long speech. He just serves him a cup of tea.
The monk tells him to hold the cup. And the traveler, he grips it for dear life, so scared to drop it. But because he's clinging so tightly, the hot tea sloshes over the side and burns his hand. The lesson hits him instantly, and it's one he'll never forget. Happiness isn't something you can clench your fist around and control. The more we desperately try to cling to it, the more we end up getting burned.
And this really just boils down to the difference between a closed fist and an open hand, right? Clinging, that's the closed fist. It comes from fear, the fear you're going to lose something. But letting go, that's an open hand. It comes from trust and acceptance, and it allows you to actually experience and appreciate a beautiful moment without that constant knot in your stomach that it's all going to end. You're not trying to own the joy, you're just appreciating it while it's there.
Okay, so if letting go is how we find happiness, where do we find the answers to our other big questions? Well, this next lesson suggests that, just like with that teacup, our first instinct might be leading us down the wrong path. We search for answers everywhere, in all the noise, but maybe they're hiding somewhere much, much quieter.
So this young woman, she hikes all the way up a mountain, totally expecting to get this life-altering lecture about her grand purpose. She finally gets to the wise man, asks him for the meaning of life, and he doesn't give some big speech. He just says one word: listen.
So she does. She listens. But all she can hear is, the wind, some birds chirping, the usual stuff. This isn't what she climbed a mountain for. But the master, he just gently pushes her a little more. Listen better. And so, she quiets her mind. She tunes out the external noise, and she even tunes out her own racing thoughts. And then, she hears it. Absolutely nothing. A pure, deep silence. It's not just that there was no sound, it was the stillness between her thoughts. The answer wasn't a noise she had to find. It was a space that was already there.
And that's the big reveal, isn't it? The answers we are so desperately looking for out in the world, from books, from experts, from that constant pinging of our phones, they're actually waiting for us in our own inner quiet. Wisdom isn't something that's shouted at us. It's something we discover in the stillness.
Now, just so we don't start thinking this whole journey to inner peace has to be super serious and grim, the source throws in this great little reminder to keep a sense of humor. Even the most enlightened people were still, people. This quote is just a perfect reminder that spirituality and a good laugh aren't just compatible, they probably should go hand in hand.
So we've learned to let go of things and to listen to our own inner quiet. But what do we do with whatever wisdom we find there? Well, that brings us right to our third big lesson. True wisdom was never meant to be locked away. It's meant to be shared. This next story is so simple. You've got a village that is totally paralyzed by fear. There's this dark, scary forest right at their edge. Then, a wise woman shows up with just a small oil lamp. But instead of only lighting her own path, she does something that confuses everyone. She walks over to the edge of the forest and just leaves her lamp there for anyone to use. The villagers come up to her and ask, "Why would you give away your only light?"
And her answer is just profound. She basically says that things like wisdom, compassion, kindness, they don't work like money or oil. They're not a finite resource. When you share them, you don't lose anything. In fact, the total amount of light in the world actually grows. Our inner light finds its real purpose not when we're hoarding it,
but when we're sharing it.
So when you kind of step back and look at these 3 lessons together, you start to see this really powerful theme emerge. Whether we're clinging or letting go, listening to all the noise or finding the silence, hoarding our light or sharing it, it all comes down to an internal choice, a choice we have to make every single day. And this last parable makes that choice incredibly clear.
It starts with an old Cherokee elder talking to his grandson about life. And he uses this amazing metaphor of a battle that's happening inside him. A concept that I think every single one of us can relate to. This fight is happening inside all of us, all the time.
And these are the 2 opponents, the 2 wolves. The first one is the wolf of fear and anger and greed and resentment. The other is the wolf of love and joy and peace and kindness. And every single day, these 2 are at war, fighting for control over our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions.
So the little boy, he's listening to all this, and he asks the one question that really matters, the question we're all thinking. If this epic battle is raging inside all of us, which side wins? Which wolf is going to come out on top?
The elder's answer is so simple, but it changes everything. This is so incredibly powerful because it tells you that the outcome isn't predetermined. It's not about fate, it's a choice. The winner of this internal war is simply the one we decide to nourish, the one we pay attention to, the one we feed with our actions. The power is entirely in our hands.
And that's really the main takeaway here. This isn't just a nice story. It's a practical tool. It reframes our inner struggles not as some terrible fate, but as a constant opportunity to make a conscious choice. The source material really boils all of this down into one simple, guiding question you can take with you. And that's it. In any moment of confusion, of anger, of fear, when you just don't know what to do, this is the question that can cut right through all that noise. What would love do now? It's a simple, powerful compass to help you decide which wolf to feed. And that is a piece of wisdom that's absolutely worth sharing. Thanks for listening.